If you want to understand the exact moment my soul just sort of curdled, you got to start with the geography of Oak Creek. Because, see, this isn't just a neighborhood. It's a psychological experiment funded by folks who honestly think beige is a personality trait and believe the length of your lawn tells the world if you're a decent human being. It's the kind of place where the silence isn't peaceful, it's oppressive, heavy, like static pressing right up against your eardrums. Out here, we don't really have neighbors. We've got co-resident surveillance targets, enemies who wave real friendly while mentally measuring if your hedges are exactly 3 inches over regulation. I'm a simple guy. I work logistics. I spend 40 hours a week staring at spreadsheets, tracking shipping containers from Shenzhen to Long Beach, organizing chaos into neat columns and rows. Order is my religion. Item A goes to location B, and if it doesn't arrive, the world has failed. That's my binary existence keeps me sane, or at least it used to. Until that one Tuesday. The Tuesday of the graphics card. You have to understand, I've been planning this build for 3 solid years. 3 years running a computer that sounded like a jet engine every time I opened a second Chrome tab. I scrimped, I saved, I lived on enough ramen to mummify my insides. And finally, I hit buy on an NVIDIA RTX 4090A slab of silicon. So expensive it probably should have come with its own insurance policy. We're talking $1,600. The kind of transaction where you call your bank in advance just to keep your account from getting frozen. That Tuesday, I was working from home. On purpose. I was glued to my desk with the blinds drawn because that sunlight glares off the monitor watching the Amazon tracking map like it was my job. There's something wrong with us, isn't there? Watching that little blue delivery van icon crawl through the suburbs. Knowing your whole day, maybe your whole year, depends on a guy named Kevin who's 6 stops away. The anxiety was next level. I tried to distract myself by grinding some coffee beans, buzzing with a sort of nerdy dread only a fellow electronics addict can truly understand. And then the tactical blunder. I went to the bathroom. For minutes. 5 tops. I'm in there, washing my hands when my phone buzzes. Delivered. Your package was left near the front door. Dopamine hit me so hard. I dried my hands on the for display only towel me wife's favorite thin jogged to the front door. Didn't walk. Jogged. Ready to scoop that box up and cradle it like the Holy Grail. But the porch was empty. Nothing but air, sunlight, and the faint smell of mulch. My brain just refused to process. I looked behind the fern, checked the bushes, stood there in my socks, whispering Kevin to the universe like an idiot. But the photo in the app was clear, my box sitting right where my feet were. The timestamp? 2:14 p.m. I checked my phone. 2:17 p.m. 3 minutes. In those 3 minutes, $1,600 just vaporized into the humid air of Oak Creek. I didn't panic. Panic is for rookies. I stormed into my office, pulled up the Ring app black box recorder of my personal plane crash and started scrubbing through footage. There was Kevin, a man among men, placing my box gently on the mat, snapping a pic. And then right on schedule at 2:15, the feed stutters, buffers, and there she is, Brenda. Not a stranger, not some hoodie-clad teenager. Brenda, the HOA's own beautification committee president. Brenda, who once left a note on my car about it being too dusty for the neighborhood aesthetic. Brenda, shaped like a bell pepper, marching with the unstoppable force of a Soviet tank, floral blouse straight outta 1994. She doesn't sneak, doesn't look over her shoulder, just power walks up, scoops my RTX 4090 up like it's a purse, and marches across the street straight into her house. The silence in my house was so thick I could hear my own blood pounding in my ears. It wasn't just the theft, it was the sheer casualness, the confidence, the entitlement. She didn't even flinch for the camera. In her mind, the camera's probably there to document her heroism. So, still hanging on to the idea that people are mostly good, I put on my shoes, crossed the street to her house, painted a color called soft lamb's ear, which, by the way, is just gray for people with too much money, and rang the bell. Her little dog started yapping like it was paid by the decibel. Brenda cracked the door 6 inches, eyes cold and dead as a shark's. I told her about the missing package. She sighed. Not just any sigh you use with a toddler who just doesn't get subtraction. Told me crime was getting out of hand, that we need a gate. I told her I had her on 4K video, didn't even blink. Jack, I don't know what you think you saw, but I haven't left my house all afternoon. I've been reorganizing my pantry. Humidity makes my flour clump. Standing there, staring at her actual shirt from the video, trying to process Olympic-level gaslighting. I tell her, she sneers, tells me I'm being aggressive, threatens to sue for defamation, and then deadpans, maybe the wind took my box, before slamming the door hard enough to rattle my fillings. I sat on my couch for 4 hours, watching her TV flicker through the window, knowing she was in there, feet up, enjoying her new $1,600 coaster. When Officer Miller finally showed up, looks like he's been 5 years from retirement, since 2009, he watches the video, whistles, then delivers the speech that finally breaks something inside me. Can't do much on a property dispute, not without a warrant. Fourth Amendment, you know? No judge is signing for porch piracy at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. Brenda, he says, told him she was just protecting it from the wind. Says a defense attorney would eat this for breakfast. Hand me a case number and tells me, with what I can only describe as the voice of a man who's given up, get an Amazon locker, buddy. People like this, they never stop. Standing outside in the dark, watching a single light flick on in her house, knowing she'll sleep easy while my GPU probably becomes a coaster for her denture cup, I realized law, civility, re-sunfeed, all failed me. Brenda didn't want to play by the rules of society. She wanted to play by the rules of the jungle. Fine. If she wanted a package so badly, I was going to give her one. Not electronics. Not a lawsuit. Something biblical. So I typed 2 words into a search bar. Bull crickets. Next morning, I woke up with what I can only describe as a justice hangover. You know, that acid tightness in your chest. Not from what you drank, but from the realization that the world is fundamentally broken. I lay there, picturing Brenda in her soft lamb's ear fortress, sipping weak coffee and admiring her new box, probably not even knowing what was inside. Time for one last lever. I called Oak Creek HOA. Now, these folks fined me $50 once for coiling my hose the wrong way, so surely they'd care about a board member committing grand larceny, right? But the second I mentioned Brenda, the line went dead. Like horror movie silent. Sharon, the woman on the phone, literally whispered that Brenda's the board president, the compliance committee chair, and the only person who opens complaint emails. In other words, Brenda investigates Brenda, finds Brenda innocent. So it wasn't just theft. It was a little suburban fiefdom, with Brenda as warlord in capri pants. But see, I'm a logistics guy. I need data before I go to war. I ordered a 5-pound tub of discount protein powder on Amazon, $30. Heavy, tastes like chalk, and regret set up a DSLR in the guest room, and waited. 1:48, the delivery guy drops it off, snaps the photo, leaves. The street's quiet. For 15 minutes, nothing. And then Brenda's garage rumbles open. She does this little fake routine, pretends to weed a flower bed, glancing at my porch. She's a predator, sending the wind. Breaks into a trot, grabs the box. And here's the part that iced my veins. She looked straight into the Ring camera and smirked. Not just a smirk, and I know you can't do a thing about it smirk. That's when the last bit of mercy left me. No calls to Officer Miller. No complaints. Just cold logistics. I went back to that browser tab. Wholesale feeder crickets. But dumping bugs in a box isn't enough. You need propulsion. You need spectacle. I went to a DIY subreddit. Found a guy named Scrap Heat Davey, a bearded giant with a shop that smells like a welding accident. He draws up a catapult trap using garage door springs and fishing line. Says, kinetic energy is forever. He's right. I spent $400 on Dave Genius. 200 on 10,000 live crickets, and biting superworms for texture. Loading them was a nightmare high-pitched, static noise, crickets crawling on my arms, trying not to trip the trigger in my own face. I taped the line to the flaps, sealed the box with Amazon tape, slapped on a fake Apple label for maximum temptation. By Friday night, the box is humming with a low-frequency vibration you can feel in your fillings. My wife packs a bag and leaves for her mom's, says I need therapy. I don't need therapy. I need sunlight for the perfect 4K shot and for Brenda to be hungry. Saturday morning, I step out in a high-vis vest, set the box down, and hook the safety pin. It's live. I retreat, eyes glued to the monitors. At 10:15, Brenda comes out purple velour tracksuit, doing her fake stretch, then zeroes in. She does this stealth routine, waves at the paper boy, then boom scoops the box, hauls it into her lair. Through the curtains, I see her silhouette. She opens the box. For a second, the world freezes. Then boom. Not a sound, just a brown explosion. 10,000 crickets hit the ceiling fan now. It's raining bugs, superworms in her hair, on her face, in her open mouth. I couldn't hear her scream, but I saw it. Pure primal terror. She bolted, flailing, tracksuit flapping, crickets pouring out of her sleeves, runs out on her lawn, shrieking like a banshee, hurling her jacket into the bushes. I walked out on my porch, coffee in hand, and called out, "Morning, Brenda. Everything okay?" She glared wild-eyed, bugs in her hair, shrieked that I'd attacked her with a bug bomb. I shrugged. I have no idea what you're talking about, Brenda. That was a delivery for my new lizard farm. Did you intercept my livestock? I made sure to mention Officer Miller just loud enough. She realized finally that she'd been trapped, filmed, and utterly humiliated. Fled to her car, still swatting crickets, spent a week at the Holiday, and while an exterminator tinted her Housia bill that cost more than 3 RTX 4090s. When she came back, her warlord swagger was gone. She walks with her head down. Every time a package sits on my porch, she recoils like it's radioactive. I got my replacement card, finally. And as I installed it, I realized the law didn't fix Oak Creek, but 10,000 crickets did. So, now I gotta ask, was I the Karen for escalating a property dispute into a biblical event? Or did Brenda get exactly what she deserved for treating the neighborhood like her personal shopping mall? I know some of you have HOA horror stories worse than mine. Drop them in the comments. Tell me if I went too far or not far enough. Where's the line, right? What's real justice? Hit like, share your own stories, and let's see just how wild suburbia can really get.
Cảm ơn tất cả các bạn đã xem video.